Okay, so welcome to another video. Welcome to another installment of In Pursuit of Perfection. And my name is Tamono Rie Oswald. Right now, in this video, we're going to be discussing something quite interesting. In the month of March, we have been discussing, the essence, the power of relationships, and in this session, we are going to be discussing, the problem of being alone. In the Bible, it says, I believe in Genesis chapter 2, that after God had created man, he looked at him and said, "It is not good for a man to be alone. It's not good for him to be by himself." He had other things around him. He had plants, he had animals. But God said that it is not good for a man, to be alone, because God had created someone in his own image, and he had people in his own like him around him. But man that he created in his image was alone. So there was some sort of discrepancy there, and God decided that he had to introduce something that was going to help man be better. So from that conversation, that's where we saw that the idea of woman was birthed. Now, in our case, there is still an important part for us to be able to understand this idea of not being alone, and we're going to be looking at it from two angles, right? Though there are two parts I feel that we can discuss the idea of not being alone and how it affects us, and there's the two angles are going to be perspectives and power, right? Perspectives and power, and we're going to begin with the idea of perspectives. Now, when we talk about perspective, it means where you look from, like your view, your standpoint, your vantage, basically the place where you are able to see everything that is happening around you. And man was created in a very certain way. We have a very what's the word I want to use, a very focused way of seeing things. We're created in such a way where we have two eyes in front of us, and basically we cannot tell what is happening outside of our field of view. Anything outside of our field of view is hard for us to perceive, and because it is hard for us to perceive, it's also hard for us to be able to react to anything that is happening to us or around us, apart from that area that is right in front of our immediate vicinity. So for a man, when he is alone, he only sees what it is that is within his view. So he has one view, and he has only one mode of input into his senses. So he looks ahead of himself and he sees. So he sees something coming towards him from the front of his face. It is easy for him to react to that thing, that bit of stimulus that is coming right into his face, and avoid it, or make some certain decision that is going to bring him out into a better light from that thing that he's observing, right? But when a man is looking ahead and something is coming from behind him, not making any sound, not rustling the wind, not creating any sudden vibrations, it is hard for him to perceive what is happening behind him, because he is alone, right? Because his two eyes are only able to see what is ahead of him. There is a problem for him, because he cannot see what is happening behind him, and thus he cannot react to what is happening behind him. So the first problem of man is perspective. A man, when he is alone, has a very limited perspective. He has a very limited way of seeing things. He has a very limited way of understanding things. Perspective has the idea of vision, but it also has the idea of our ability to be able to understand some certain concepts. When someone has explained something to you a certain way, some of us come from varying backgrounds. Our parents have taught us very different things, and it is easy for us to run with those ideas for the rest of our life. But if we never have anybody that would challenge that idea, we'll never be able to grow out of that level that we find ourselves to be. Actually, it is the challenge of our ideas that allows us to become mature, that allows us to grow, that allows us to form ourselves into better members of society. That's another problem of being alone. There is no one to challenge the things that you have held as true, to be able to test their validity as whether or not they can carry you the journey through life. So when a man has someone that is challenging his perspectives, challenging his ideas, challenging his understanding, challenging all those things that concern him, right? He's unable rather to bring himself to a level where he's able to supersede his very first beginnings and understandings and abilities. It is because a baby sees men walking that he knows that the reality of him crawling is actually a limitation to him and not an advantage. So that is what makes him now decide that he has to stand up on his 2 feet, and he has to try, even if nobody is egging him on, he tries to become like those that he sees ahead of him. But if he never sees someone ahead of him, the mindset that he needs to, or he is able to, or there's an advantage of him standing on his own 2 feet, will actually be lost to him. That is the first point. So we've talked about first perspectives, how you see things, how you look at things, not looking at things only from the physical perspective, but also looking at things from the mental perspective, how you're able to understand and comprehend matters that will affect your future and the path that you are walking on. And now the second thing that is necessary for us to understand, or the second problem rather of being alone, is that when you are alone, you are limited in strength, you are limited in power. And the thing about this limitation in power is that when we look into society, when we look into life, when we look into anything that concerns us, we find that there are many things that seem to be bigger than us. A very simple example that you might have, if you look anywhere in your house, I'm sure there are some large pieces of furniture. These large pieces of furniture are so big that it is hard for you to be able to consider yourself lifting them alone, even if they are not so heavy. Sometimes they are not too heavy for you to carry, but their shape, their orientation makes them quite cumbersome, and it is hard for you to manipulate them into the situation that you want them to be without someone helping you to do so. But when you are able to come in contact with another person that is able to adjust things while you adjust things, that is able to help you work things out here and there, that is able to help you bring these things into the right manner that you want them to have, you will now find out that you are able to bear some results quicker. The Bible says that there is a problem with when a man is alone, that when he falls, he does not have anyone to help him stand up. For the Bible to bring that into our view, it means that fall was a fall that if that man was alone, there is no way he's able to get up by himself. But when another one is with him, the Bible said that he's able to draw him up and set him again on his feet. This is the issue of when people decide that they want to walk alone. When they decide to walk alone, anytime they fall into some certain places, there is nobody to help them out of that place. When they meet a challenge that is too much for a single person, there is no way for them to get help to bring them through that challenge. So you find yourself facing a mountain. The truth is, if you spend 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, maybe you'll be able to break through that mountain. But the truth is, if you have another person walking with you side by side in cycles, you'll find out that what was meant to take 20 years can take 10. You add another person, what was meant to take 20 years takes 6. You add another person, what was meant to take 20 years takes 5. And as you add more men into the cycle, so shortens the amount of time for you to break through that mountain. The Bible says that in the multitude of counsel, that is where a king is able to rise and stand. So this is the thing, when you have a lot of people that are attacking a problem, there is the ability for us to be able to produce results even better than we initially expected. Another view from the Bible says that one shall chase 1,000 and two shall chase 10,000. I think I also mentioned this in our other video. It is a very unique way to see it, where you see that in the introduction of another person does not even create an arithmetic progression, an arithmetic increase, but it actually creates a geometric progression, an exponential increase. You see that it increases by in an order of magnitude. So you would think that one will chase 1,000 and two will chase 2,000. But the Bible says no. When you introduce help into your situation, when you bring another man into your situation, what happens is that there is even a bigger increase than you initially thought was possible, just because you had another man be introduced into the situation. Another popular saying of men tell you that there are two heads involved in a matter are better than one. These are the things that help you know that when a man stands alone, he's limited in himself. Learning is based on our interactions with people. Increase and influence and dominion is based on our interactions with people. When we decide that we want to stand by ourselves, we are limiting our perspectives, and we are also limiting our power. We are limiting our perspectives, we are limiting our views, we are limiting what it is that we can see, and we are also limiting what it is that we can do. The strength, the ability, the might that is available to us is set by this thing. In the old time, when men used to talk about armies, they would usually engage the strength of an army just based on its numbers. When one army sees that another army outnumbers them by an order of magnitude, they believe immediately that they're going to lose the war before they talk about tactics, before they talk about weaponry and technology. The moment they see an army larger than them, they become scared, because there is power in numbers. There is power in numbers, and that's the reason why the first command, the first agenda of dominion that was given to mankind was that mankind should be fruitful. Even if man was set as the apex of God's creation, we find out that man had to be fruitful, and that is why we see that we are increasing in number. Now you find out that we may not be the most plenteous of organisms in the world, but our increase is what is making us be able to dominate, not just by our intelligence, but by our numerical strength, that we are able to draw the greatest value out of the earth that we have had. As our population has been increasing, so as our knowledge has been increasing, to be able to take advantage of the world that was given to us, right? So this is the power of us having an increased number, more minds, more brains, more strength to use to tackle problems. And as more people have been attacking these problems, we've been finding more ingenious solutions to be able to produce what it is that we need to stand in this world. It is not good for man to be alone. It is not good for man to be alone. It is not good for you to be alone. Yes, you may have faced situations and challenges where men may have done some certain things to you. They may have betrayed you. They may have spoken bad about you. They may have been the reason why you were not able to ascend into some certain heights. But you still need men to be able to step into what it is that God has called you for. Even your own personal dreams and ambitions. Let's just say you happen not to be a Christian and you stumbled on this video. You still need men. You cannot say you're going to make it on your own. If you make product, you need people to buy your product. If you're a teacher, you need people to learn your wisdom. There is nothing that you have that you do not need men to be able to bring out the full strength of it, to produce the results that you desire from it. No man is designed to live in himself, whether it be reproductively or whether it be by his ability to transfer knowledge from one generation to another. The reason why we talk about fruitfulness is not just the transfer of our genetics, but also the transfer of our mind, the transfer of our thoughts, the transfer of our wills. It is the will from the beginning that seems to extend onto this time, that seems to allow man to keep pressing and pushing forward an agenda that seems beyond himself. So I want you to reorient your mind towards whether or not you need people. You do. And your understanding of the kinds of people that you need will help you to get what it is God has called you to get. Alright, so this has been Tamno Priyos for bringing you the word. I hope this word was very enlightful to you. It was opening up my own thoughts about these ideas I was speaking. So I really hope this has impacted you and changed your view. God bless you, and catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.